morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, SKN. And I'm Mimi.
And we are starting the day out very sunny. Happy to be here. Happy that you are joining us for another edition of Good Morning SKN. So we'll start with the latest in local news, Mimi.
All right. But Jamie didn't tell us about the weather. It's actually really, really sunny outside, and there's a 10% chance of rain. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there will be no rain today. But let's get into the local news. Other locations for food truck vending being considered, and this news is coming from the ZIZ newsroom. The Urban Development Unit and the Physical Planning Department are looking for other locations in and around Bastyr to accommodate the street vendors. This was disclosed by the Senior Urban Development Officer in the Ministry of Urban Development, Ron Body, in a telephone interview with ZIZ News on Monday. Later in the year, a few other places will be open for food truck vendors and other street vendors who might need a spot. Senior Urban Development Officer in the Ministry of Urban Development, Ron Body, said, because of the limited space, there will be an application process for those areas. However, this process will be announced sometime in the future. Right now, the North Independent Square is being used for a food court, and there are only 6 trucks that can hold there. So with many trucks needing a space, you see the limitations that we face. What we intend to do is maybe a first come, first serve climate. I remember this was a big discussion, especially when we started, getting higher numbers as it relates to COVID-19, and they were trying to restrict, people being on the road, vendors being on the road. I know there was a lot of concern as to where they would relocate to. So this is an interesting development, and I hope it works out for everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Absolutely. All right, so as we move on with the local news, Lindsey Grant donates to Virchow's High School. He is, of course, as you know, the parliamentary representative for constituency number 4, and he has assisted the Virchow's High School in the management of the COVID-19 pandemic with the donation of 12 hand sanitizer dispensers. The donation, which was made on Tuesday morning, was received by the principal of the Virchow's High School, Miguel Thomas. Mr. Thomas told ZIZ, again, this coming from ZIZ, that he is appreciative of the gesture, and he is certain that students, teachers, and persons frequenting the school also appreciate the gesture as they feel safe, as we just talked about, knowing that they are coming to a place that is taking the necessary precautions to cope with the pandemic. He also said that the school is always thankful to those persons who make those gestures to offer tools to aid the better management, specifically during the pandemic. So obviously, when we're talking about schools, a lot of things that happen is that, sometimes children, you can't dictate how they behave necessarily. So if you have measures in place to ensure that at least you're ensuring that they stick to the protocols as much as possible, then everything should be safer.
Right, so. Definitely. So that's great news. And last in the local news, Superintendent Lyndon David advises owners of dogs to safely secure them from running amok among the general public. And this news is coming from SKNIS. Superintendent of Police, Mr. Lyndon David, said the owners of dogs within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis must safely secure them so that they do not run amok and pose a danger to the general public. Superintendent David said that during his appearance on the popular radio and television show Working for You on December 12th, he said, once the dog attacks a human being or another animal, it will then be deemed dangerous. The person who is injured does not have to prove a previous propensity in the dog, so the owner would be liable. The liability will come through the civil suits, but there are also some criminal aspects where you fail to secure your dog properly, and those are the areas where we are encouraging persons to keep their dogs safe, such as putting them in a pen, putting chains on them, said Superintendent David. And I mean, I'm not a dog owner anymore. So
Okay, yes, you gave it away.
my dog was more playful than anything. But I have noticed that in St. Kitts, we tend to have a few stray dogs out there. So again, for those who are dog owners, I know that we love them and we don't want to keep them in cages and tied on leashes, but just for the safety of the general public, you could take closer eye on them. That would be
I
appreciated.
love that you're looking at the serious side of this, because all I see when I heard you read this, all I saw when I read it and heard you say it, was that this is a dog story. It's all about the dogs today, apparently. It's all about the dogs. All right, well, we'll be back with more of the latest in a moment. Stay tuned, everybody.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
No cash, no card, no problem. JAD. Embrace the freedom.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Yeah. I know we can make it. It's only just a phase. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gonna be safe. Everybody gonna be safe. One kind, yeah. One people. We are roll up to roll out. Yeah. 'Cause no man's alone. Do what's right. Alright. 'Cause I love you. Brother, my sister. And we're in this together. My sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Hey, I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to roll up to roll out.
Welcome back, everyone. You are watching Good Morning SKN.
Good morning.
We are continuing with the latest in regional news, breaking news as we call it. So this one coming from Reuters, of course, the initial Barbados election results show that Prime Minister Motley is poised for the win. So Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley seemed on the verge of a sweeping victory as preliminary results trickled in late on Wednesday from the Caribbean nation's first general election since it became a republic last year. Motley's Barbados Labour Party, BLP, went into the vote holding 29 of the 30 seats in the national legislature, and the Prime Minister was comfortably re-elected in one of the first constituencies to be declared. Results came in piecemeal overnight, and projections on local television suggested that BLP was headed for a decisive victory over the opposition. I can't say that I'm surprised.
No.
I really can't say that I'm surprised, but of course, this is with caution because these are preliminary results, so we're going to wait until every ballot is counted because we never know exactly what could happen.
We never know what would happen. But that's really interesting. Again, she's a global icon to me. I mean, everybody loves her. Every time she speaks at the UN, like everybody feels so inspired. So I can't imagine it going differently. Anyways, we'll wait and see. And we're moving on to international news. COVAX wants US $5.2 billion to fund 2022 vaccine drive. And this is coming from the Associated French Press. The COVAX scheme for ensuring COVID-19 vaccines reach poorer countries said Wednesday it needed $5.2 billion within the next 3 months to fund jabs for the world in 2022. COVAX reached their milestone of shipping its billionth vaccine dose at the weekend after a surge in deliveries to countries in November and December, but hopes to ramp up the flow of vaccines this year. In 2022, we can help break COVID-19 by adopting our support to ensure doses are used rapidly, get into arms safely, are responsive to countries' preferences and coverage targets, said Gavi Vaccine Alliance Chief Seth Barkley. This will help the world to reduce the pandemic risk and uncertainties. So again, that sounds like quite a hefty amount, I'm sure, but it's going to a great cause. So looking forward to see how that goes for 2020. I still can't believe that we're in 2022. Whenever I read it, I'm like, huh? I think the time is going by so fast. But that's it. We're at the end of our latest segment. So we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be right back with more exciting content. You're watching Good Morning SKN.
Next, please.
Good morning, Mommy. How are we today?
We are okay. I brought in Bobby to get her first HPV vaccine to secure her from this cancer-causing menace. I'm just trying to make sure my girls have a chance at enjoying life, you know?
You look unsure about something. Are you okay?
I'm a little nervous. My boyfriend found a lump here the other day, and now I'm freaking out.
I understand how you feel, but let's take care of Bobby first. First, let me explain about this vaccine, the HPV vaccine. The HPV vaccine protects both boys and girls. This vaccine can prevent most cases of cervical cancer and some cases of sexually transmitted infections. Mommy, that's it for Bobby. Can we talk privately for a few minutes? It's really good that you told me about your boyfriend finding the lump. I'm glad that you weren't too scared. Mommy, when was the last checkup? Which includes your breast examination and the pap smear.
Honestly, I don't know anything about pap smears. Is that something you do during childbirth? Because if that's the case, I would have done it twice, right?
A pap smear is an examination of your vagina and the pelvis area. It should be done for females between the ages 18 to 69 at least once a year. The World Health Organization recommends that the doctor or nurse that is doing the examination remove the cells from the cervix and check for any abnormal cells, cancer, and the human papillomavirus, which causes cervical cancer. If females get regular tests, anything unusual or abnormal can be treated and seen in its early stages. The girls are being vaccinated before age 13 to reduce the risk of getting cervical cancer. Women tested early and girls vaccinated can help us end cervical cancer. Don't be afraid. It's a simple examination which will be over very soon. Come on, let's get tested.
You are watching Good Morning SKN. It's a new school term and students are returning to school. It is also when some students in their final grade of high school are beginning to consider their options and apply to colleges. While this should be an exciting time, the application process presents many challenges for prospective undergraduates. In addition to this, getting acclimated to a new environment is quite difficult. Lucky for us, there are student recruiters that can assist with this process. Dale Morton, a national of St. Kitts and Nevis, is a student recruiter and extension agent at the University of the Virgin Islands. He recruits new students for graduate or undergraduate programs, and during his interview, he will tell us what his duties entail. In addition, in his capacity as extension agent, he develops and delivers educational programs for the School of Agriculture. Mr. Morton, it is indeed an honor to welcome you to Good Morning SKN as we begin this Connections segment. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you.
All right, glad to hear it. So we're talking today about recruitment, and obviously that is what you do for the Virgin Islands. We want to know if there are certain Caribbean islands that are identified as recruitment areas for the UVI, or do you just do it generally?
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I do it generally. And why I say generally is because I am always pushing UVI to anybody I speak with, because it is a fantastic university. And I don't think people really appreciate the significance that the university has done in its near 60 years of existence.
Wow.
And so I have always been pushing it. I learned about it from my cousin, Dr. Ozzy Leibod, who is there in St. Kitts right now still. And he sold my father on it. And that's how I came to CBI in 1979 to pursue my bachelor's in biology. And so we try to recruit from everywhere. We have students from as far as north as Alaska.
Whoa.
And we have had students from some African countries and so forth. So we get students, like let's say, from all over, and our students go all over too, because we have study abroad programs. And Kittitian National, his mother and grandmother, his grandmother actually worked with my parents. And so when the daughter was planning to send her son to college, we spoke at an agriculture fair on the St. Croix grounds, and I told her about the engineering program at UVI. I told her it's a 3-year, 2-year program. We have an association with 3 different universities, the University of South Florida, University of Florida, and Cornell University, where our students start at UVI, they do 3 years, and they transfer to one of those 3 universities, spend 2 years, and they end up with their bachelor's in applied mathematics from UVI and a bachelor of science in engineering from either one of those 3 schools. And this young man, he is finishing up this year at the University of South Florida, and he spent a whole semester going to school in Denmark. So we have many, many opportunities for students. I have been assigned the student recruiter as an additional responsibility, because my main job really is being an extension agent. And as a recruiter, I regard it as just formally recognizing what I have been doing for many, many years, for over 2 decades, actually. And so I gladly accepted that additional responsibility, especially since it came with a 12% salary increase. So I was very, very quick to take that opportunity.
Wonderful. I mean, and it's really impressive that you have students, I mean, as far as Alaska, that's really interesting. But can you tell us how the process has changed during the pandemic?
I didn't hear the question.
Has the process changed since we're in a pandemic right now? Has there been any changes?
I didn't hear the question, miss.
All right, so I apologize. What Mimi is asking you is, given the pandemic that we are going
I didn't hear the question.
He's not hearing us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a very brief break and we'll be back.
Your mic is
Good
muted, it
Morning
looks like.
SKN right after this. Stay tuned.
Let's face it, most parents or guardians don't want to think about their teens having sex, let alone contemplate the possibility that they might get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Teenage pregnancy is a situation that involves female adolescents. A teenage female can be pregnant as early as age 12 or 13, although it is usually 14 and older. The fact that teenagers become pregnant is related to many factors. Here are some tips to decrease teen pregnancy. Teach teenagers comprehensive sex education. Target messages at teen boys, not just girls. Get the whole community involved. Encourage mentoring, parental involvement, and support. This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
Where are you going? I just mopped the floor and now the chair leaving marks all over the place. Come on, go in bed, see? Sometimes I just can't take you on.
Violence is expressed in many ways. Most, unfortunately, go unreported or unaddressed for many reasons. If you or someone disabled is being abused, contact the police at 465-2241, social services at 467-1314, or the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Disabled Persons at 465-2151, 663-9077, or 663-4116. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom. No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
And we are back again on Good Morning SKN, and we apologize for the technical challenges. We're here with Dale Morton as the recruiter for the University of the Virgin Islands. So I was asking, before we got rudely interrupted by the internet or by technology, Has the process changed since the pandemic?
Well, yes, because all of our recruiting efforts are now by Zoom and Teams and so forth. So we are not getting a chance really to go out and talk to individuals face to face, but it has also allowed us an opportunity to reach, in a sense, more people, because we have been doing virtual presentations and we are now doing more contacting more people by internet and so forth. Even our brochure for the School of Agriculture, which is the main area I'm recruiting for, we have had to develop an electronic brochure and we send out, and I put it on my personal Facebook page. I also put it on the School of Agriculture Facebook page, and the university's Facebook page also has it going. So like I said, I mainly recruit officially for the University of the Virgin Islands School of Agriculture. And that is because the School of Agriculture is the newest school or college at the University of the Virgin Islands. Many years ago, in the early 80s up until maybe like the early part of the 90s, the university had an agricultural program under the Division of Maths and Science. It went dormant because there weren't enough students applying and staying in the program. So many a new student will start and they drop out. And eventually the administration made the program dormant. But within the last 4 to 5 years, there has been a resurgence and a push from the legislature of the Virgin Islands, which funds the public part of the university. And when I say the public part, the university is a land grant institution. And so as a result of that, it gets certain monies from the federal government because we are a land grant institution. We also get certain sum of money allocated every year from the legislature of the Virgin Islands. And so because they give the money, the legislatures, which are senators, the persons elected by the general public, they try to push what the general public is also advocating for. So like I said, about 5 years ago, they came to the university at the same time when the university was thinking about re-establishing the programs in agriculture and actually expanding them to what we have now. And so at present, we have 3 certificate programs in the agricultural area and 2 associates in agriculture, applied science in the agricultural area. The 2 applied sciences degrees are in horticulture and agroecology. Now, one of the reasons why persons in St. Kitts have not heard me reach out to them as yet is because those were just approved nearly at the end of last semester. And so we are just formally beginning the classes in that area. And while we had 2 out of the 3 certificates approved beforehand, we couldn't really advertise it in St. Kitts Nevis because a student cannot come to the University of the Virgin Islands to pursue a certificate program. They can only come to pursue associates or bachelor's or master's or the PhD degree to come to UVI. So we have really now just started launching the promotion for the School of Agriculture, since we now have 2 approved associates in applied science degrees. The plan is hopefully by the March meeting, we'll have some additional ones approved, and we may even have a bachelor's one approved as well.
Okay, that's wonderful. And as the daughter of a farmer, I'm really excited to hear, the rebirth of, the education for agriculture at UVI. And unfortunately, we've run out of time. I had so many questions to ask you, but just before we go, can you tell me how people maintain their connections with St. Kitts while they're at UVI?
Okay, but the students who come here from St. Kitts, they have the St. Kitts Navy Student Association.
Oh, wonderful.
I am a loose member in the fact that, well, I attend their activities. I do not attend their meetings. I am meeting out because of my 38 years of association with the university, too many meetings. So, but I go to all of the activities, so I get to know the students, and I make myself available to help and assist all students, but especially those who are from St. Kitts Nevis and the BVI, to make sure that they are comfortable, steer them in the right direction, hook them up with the right people. Because of my 38 years of working, I know every single person, from the custodian and grounds people right up to the president and so forth. All of them know me, and so I get a lot of things done, and I make that connection available to any student. So I'm able to guide them and steer them in the right direction.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Again, we've run out of time, but Dale, is it fine for me to call you Dale?
Definitely.
It was a pleasure having you here on Good Morning SKN. I hope that we get to touch base with you again soon. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
I'll be happy to.
Wonderful.
I'm here to St. Kitts Nevis. You don't know if I must represent for the Ministry of Health. Yeah. Respect the COVID protocols. In a time like this, all for one for all. St. Kitts Nevis. Don't forget your mask. Wear it everywhere you go. Sanitize before and after everything you do. Cause you never know what's on the surface of the places to go. Maintain a safe social distance between me and you. Keep calm and stay focused. Don't be a fool, seek the facts first. And boost your immune system up. Don't wanna lose no more of us. Mask up, furlough, sanitize, observe the protocols all about. Be wise. Mask up, furlough, sanitize. Me family fitting boat and you. Blessed love and greetings. This is Infamous, and I am here to encourage every Kittitian and Nivision to remember that we have our part to play in the fight against COVID-19. So sanitize, wear your face mask, practice social distancing, and go and get vaccinated. For me no know about you, but me love St. Kitts bad. Easy no man.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
Since the dawn of technology, it has been used as a tool to streamline business operations. However, it was and still is met with resistance. Businesses tend to prefer to stick to their traditional operational strategies. When the pandemic struck in 2022, protocols such as social distancing and lockdowns were implemented. Thus, businesses had no choice but to develop an online presence. Yes, we're talking about conducting business online. So this next guest, she was here before last month along with her mom. You may remember them as the mother-daughter duo that both captured the Miss St. Kitts and Nevis crown. This time, the daughter, Jenna Lake, is back with us to discuss more about something serious. Janelle is a certified information system security professional. Today, she's here with us to share so that we can prioritize cybersecurity as we lead a more digital life. Hi, Janelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you. So can you tell us exactly what is cybersecurity?
So, of course, happily. They have a lot of really intense academic definitions of what cybersecurity is, and I'm always afraid to use them because they tend to scare people off.
Yes.
And they give the impression, yes, and they give the impression that cybersecurity is really only for technical professionals or for the experts, when that really isn't the case. Or even it makes people believe that it only exists at an enterprise level, which also is not the case. But essentially, cybersecurity is the process of reducing the risk of cyber attacks. So it's all about making sure that the technologies and the practices that we engage in help to keep us and our devices and our electronic data safe. That's essentially it in a nutshell.
Speaking of attacks, Janelle, what are some of the threats based on?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat that?
Said, yes, I will. In speaking to those cyber attacks or the threats, I was asking, what are some of the common threats that people face online?
What are some security threats that people face online?
Yes.
The common ones. Well, we expose ourselves to a great deal of threats by just browsing carelessly online, I would say. So we go to social media and some nice attractive headline catches us, and without really doing our due diligence and checking to see if the site that we're browsing to is legitimate and generally, on the up and up, we just click, without thinking about it. We just click and we get directed to God knows what. Sometimes it's safe, sometimes it turns out not to be safe. We also are not very careful about how we treat with email messages. And actually, let me not say email messages because it expands beyond email messages, the dangers in this regard, because I'm certain you've gotten messages from Samsung claiming that you've won some prize. And I'm sure you can't recall entering into any sweepstakes. So, and I think we just go about our daily lives, clicking on things, responding to things without giving it adequate thought. It is akin to someone knocking on your door and you answering without really vetting and verifying that the person on the other side is not there to harm you. And so we would do well to avoid these sorts of practices to make sure that we secure ourselves as we exist in this online reality.
Yes. So what are some of the things that businesses and persons could do to protect themselves? In terms of cybersecurity, that is.
Sure. So we engage in some really, really harmful practices. And I'm referring to practices like sharing user accounts. This is something that I see done routinely where Netflix accounts are concerned, and sharing your user credentials, your passwords to your accounts is akin to giving random people the keys to your home. And we avoid this. Really, when we have passwords, we should keep them to ourselves. Our passwords are unique to us and to us only. They should not be shared with anyone else, especially as we also engage in the bad habit of reusing passwords everywhere. So essentially, if I know I use a password everywhere, I certainly don't want to be giving it to anyone to use, and then they would have access to all of my online platforms because I have this habit of reusing passwords. We also have a habit of making passwords less than secure. And by that I mean our passwords, when we set them, they tend to be generally weak. So they don't have the requisite complexity. They tend to be simple one-word passwords that people who know us might be able to guess because they might be based on some meaningful information to us, our date of birth, our wedding anniversary, our first address, our significant other's name, that sort of thing. And we really want to avoid doing this. We want to make sure we make our passwords as complex as possible because then that would give us a fighting chance, you know? Another thing we do, we rely only on passwords. And you might be wondering, what is she talking about? I mean, you're supposed to be relying on your passwords. No, not really. You don't want to put all of your trust in your passwords. That is, I like going back to the example of a house and the security that you put in place for where you live and where your family resides. You relying on a password for security only is akin to on the lock for your doorknob, as opposed to also engaging the protections offered by a deadbolt or by a tower bolt. And so we really want to make sure in that regard, from a cybersecurity standpoint, what you want to make sure you do is that you enable multi-factor authentication for all of your online platforms. And so what this means is that in order to gain access to your account, you would need to successfully present a username, a password, which is something you know, and a third factor or a second factor, which is something you either have or something that you are. It could be a fingerprint as something that you are, a retina scan, that's another thing that you are, or you could make use of token codes, and they have physical token codes that you could walk around with. I'm sure we're all familiar with them from a banking standpoint. Banks would have issued some of these to help us to protect our online bank accounts. They also have the soft kind that you walk around with on your phone. And so what this does, this would help you to add an extra layer of security to your account so that if your password does become compromised, you don't immediately lose access to your online account. Your full account itself is not compromised because then there's this additional factor that has to be presented in order for full access to be granted to your account. And so you really want to make sure these are at the very basic level of things that we should all hope to implement to secure ourselves in this new online world that we exist in.
All right, Janelle, we are just starting this conversation. We'll take a brief break and we'll be back to hear more from you about what we can do in terms of cybersecurity to protect our businesses and ourselves. More Good Morning SKN in a moment. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I going out tonight. I got a hot date. He older than me, but I don't care. I like what he telling me. He say I look sweet and ting. What? You want me go home with him? Nice. Boy, I wonder if I'm ready for this. I notice he ain't got a condom, but I gonna go ahead, see? He might think me ain't like him or trust him. Plus, this my first time. Nothing gonna happen to me. Lord, how could I let this happen? I ain't ready for no child. Who can support me and my child? My man gone jail and mommy and daddy said they ain't gonna help. I all on my own. How could I be so careless? I wish I could go back to that now. But my education on hold. How could I let this happen? Don't let this happen to you. Contact the Department of Gender Affairs to find out about confidential offices and personnel available to answer questions about your sexuality or pre- or postnatal concerns.
This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom. No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We are talking all about cybersecurity with Janelle Lake, Information Systems Analyst. Mimi is back with us as well, and we are going to have an engaging discussion. Of course, the first question that we have after the break, Janelle, is in the event of a cybersecurity compromise, what steps should be taken to recover, say, any data that is lost, or to stop or mitigate the effects of that breach?
So to begin with, I'm going to hope that prior to becoming compromised, there are some very robust backups that one could revert to, so that in the event that there's any sort of break in operations or any loss of data, you could always go back to a very recently taken backup to as a recovery point, as a very safe recovery point. If you don't have the resources in-house to help you to do this sort of analysis, to help you to determine, how bad the compromise is, exactly how you were breached, how to correct the situation, and how to move on. And I like to think that most of our modern day technology professionals have this expertise to be able to do this sort of investigation and provide the necessary informed feedback to guide going forward. There are services available, there are service providers available that you might have to reach out to help you to get this level of information. But definitely you want to start off with making sure that you have a very robust backup plan in place, because life happens, and it's not just compromise as a result of a cybersecurity attack, but of a cyber attack, that is. But we do lose access to our operations. We do become non-operational for a number of reasons, and it's always a good practice to have a good, recently taken, known good backup point to restore from. So I would definitely recommend that.
All right, in terms of a cybersecurity checklist, what are some of the things that we can do to ensure that businesses in general, and even individuals, that we are doing what we need to do to make sure that we are secure digitally? I think a first one that I would mention is perhaps identifying a trustworthy IT vendor.
Right, we definitely want to make sure we identify trustworthy IT vendors, and this applies, the trustworthiness applies even beyond the vendors. When we make use of online facilities and cloud-based tools, we want to make sure that these tools, these platforms, these vendors are in fact trustworthy. But before we even go there, I think one of the first things that needs to be done is we need to always make sure we're wearing our cyber hats and our risk hats, because you want to make sure that it doesn't make sense that you go with a best of breed security IT platform or a best of breed IT vendor if our own in-house security practices are not in order. So you want to make sure that from a cybersecurity awareness standpoint, yourself and your users and anyone who will be interacting with the platforms, with the tools that you make use of, always make the best decisions with regard the use of these tools. And I spoke to some of them in terms of making sure you avoid malicious email messages, other types of messages that might be malicious, SMS, for instance, I touched on that. You also want to make sure that you observe good cyber hygiene with the use of your passwords and how you secure your online accounts. So these are some of the things you want to make sure you have in place. But from a vendor standpoint and from a tool standpoint, you want to make sure that they are in alignment with some of the industry standards in terms of cybersecurity and information security as a base level, because that would help to give you some assurance that they have cybersecurity best practices in mind in all that they do. So definitely you'd want to make sure that, of course, we can't go into everything that you should look for, but it's always a good item to check off on the list to make sure that whoever you are engaging with, whoever you're doing business with, is in alignment with international best practices where cybersecurity is concerned.
So is it a case where potentially if they have a website, for instance, as businesses, that we'd be able to look at their information policy?
Sorry, could you repeat that question for me?
Certainly, I will repeat that. I was saying, in terms of learning what standards these businesses hold themselves to, I've been to websites and I've seen certain times that they tell you what their privacy policies, they tell you who, what standards they hold. So is that something that if we're interacting with businesses, we can expect to retrieve from their site, for instance? Or do we just have conversations with these vendors about that?
You definitely want to have the conversation, and you're right, you should really do your own investigations in that regard. So you want to interrogate these businesses and their online presences to make sure that because if I am in alignment with some international standard and I've gone through the process of becoming aligned or certified, and those things are not easy, I would want to advertise these things. So the businesses that have gone through that process, they really make it a point to make this certification known to the general public. And so they make this information publicly available on their websites. And so as a first step, you'd really want to do your own research and your own due diligence, as I mentioned earlier. You'd want to make sure you go to the businesses' web presences, their websites, you interrogate the websites, see what they present, see what they align with or not, as the case may be. And still follow up with a conversation with the vendor. Ask them to submit evidence of certification or alignment with these cybersecurity industry standards. And this is what you would use in your decision making. Do I want to engage with this vendor? Do I want to trust this person with my sensitive data, whether personal or professional? So these are definitely some places you want to look at, some things you want to look at before you decide who you're going into business with and who you're engaging.
Well, thank you very much, Janelle, for taking the time to shed some light on cybersecurity for me personally and for our viewers as well. Always a pleasure to see you. I'm certain it won't be the last time. Looking forward to our next conversation. Who knows what we'll discuss. So thank you again for taking the time.
Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. You're watching Good Morning SKN. We'll be back with more right after this.
Let's face it, most parents or guardians don't want to think about their teens having sex, let alone contemplate the possibility that they might get pregnant or get someone pregnant. Teenage pregnancy is a situation that involves female adolescents. A teenage female can be pregnant as early as age 12 or 13, although it is usually 14 and older. The fact that teenagers become pregnant is related to many factors. Here are some tips to decrease teen pregnancy. Teach teenagers comprehensive sex education. Target messages at teen boys, not just girls. Get the whole community involved. Encourage mentoring, parental involvement, and support. This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
It's been 6 months now and Glenn hasn't been working. His attitude has completely changed and he's been leaving the house every day for hours and liming with his friends and coming home drunk and causing confusion.
Gloria, this is what you cook today? This is not enough food for a big man like me.
But Glenn, it's been 6 months now. You haven't given me any money to shop for food.
Okay, so what you want me to do if my boss ain't called me out for work as yet?
Look for a different job now.
What you just said to me?
Get a next job.
What?
Help! Let me go!
Let go what? Yeah, let's see what really happened. Let go what? Watch your mouth with me now.
The weekend mom and dad fight. When are they going to stop?
Domestic violence is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, economical, and psychological. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
So nurse, what now?
Let me explain. I'm going to put your feet in these 2 meter stands called stirrups. Your legs will be open, then I will insert my fingers into your vagina and make a check. After that, I'll insert this. When that is inside of you and open up, I can see your cervix better. Then I will use these other devices to help me remove the cells from your cervix and check for the cancer and the HPV. Just relax. It will be over very soon.
Nurse, that wasn't so bad. I thought it would have been very painful.
I am glad your first experience was a good one.
So, when will I get the results?
The results usually return in 3 weeks. You have to come back here to the health center and I will explain. If there's anything abnormal, I will make a referral to your gynecologist.
Okay. Can I get the HPV vaccine my daughter got?
No, I'm sorry, you cannot. The World Health Organization and Pan American Health Organization did a lot of research and found out after persons are sexually active, the vaccine does not work as well.
So what's the best way to prevent me from dying from this HPV?
Just what you did this morning. Early and yearly screening for the HPV virus and checking for changes in the cervix with the pap test.
How do they know they're not sick?
I know, it's really sad. In 2014, 1 in 4 women in St. Kitts and Nevis were tested positive for one high-risk type of HPV. And in the last 10 years, the number of women with cervical cancer has increased.
See what I mean? But it's good that you could get the pap test, the HPV vaccine, and the breast checks all at the same time.
Yes, share what you've learned with your family and friends. We in the Ministry of Health are encouraging women to come and have these tests done every year because cervical cancer can be effectively treated if detected and diagnosed early. So let's both do our part. It's time to end cervical cancer.
Where are you going? I just mopped the floor and now the chair leaving marks all over the place. Come on, go in bed, see? Sometimes I just can't take you on.
Violence is expressed in many ways. Most, unfortunately, go unreported or unaddressed for many reasons. If you or someone disabled is being abused, contact the police at 465-2241, Social Services at 467-1314 or the St. Kitts Nevis Association of Disabled Persons at 465-2151, 663-9077 or 663-4116. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the doorway or any exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
Welcome back to Good Morning SKN. We have a very familiar face in the studio for those of you who watch the show and look at the introduction, but I won't give away any more just yet. So we can all agree that Sugar Mass 50 was quite an eventful season for us here in the Federation. In the spirit of Christmas, Panorama SKN, Bubble Juve, and the National Carnival Queen Pageant, Calypso Tents, etc. are just a few of the exciting events for this season's carnival. The Sugar Mass 50 Soca Monarch Finals was an impressive showcase of the local artists. 4 former Soca Monarchs competed among other talented artists for this past competition. One such artist was, drumroll please, Mr. Hype, who was victorious in capturing the title of Power Soca Monarch with his song Bubble. So join us in welcoming Mr. Hype to the Good Morning SKN Studios. Good morning, Mr. Hype.
Good morning. We're joking over the break that Mr. Hype is his alter ego. He's actually very quiet and reserved.
Mr. Cam when the camera's not rolling.
Well, yeah, those of us who know you know that you're generally, as Mimi said, it's like an alter ego type thing,
Yes.
which is interesting because we're going to get into that a little bit if we have time. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
What was that experience like on the night of the competition?
You mean performing or being crowned?
Everything. Everything.
It's always so surreal for me. I practice really hard. I prepare really intense, many sleepless nights, and you practice with a goal in mind. You want to win. You want to deliver your best. You want to go out there and wow the crowd every time. You want to make sure that the people who pay to come out to see you, they enjoy what you present. So for me, it's you can't even just put it into just one word, but it's an amazing feeling. I love the stage. I enjoy the stage. I love the energy that the crowd gives back to you when you're performing. When you see people, they're actually enjoying and they're just in awe of what you're doing. It's such an amazing feeling. And then at the end of the night, to hear, okay, you did it, you won. It's just amazing.
Okay, so knowing your alter ego, Mr. Calm, when did you discover that you loved being on stage? When did you discover that you even liked performing soca?
Well, I grew up in a home with Calypsonians, Monarch, Kibo, Queen, and I always really hated soca and calypso music because it's all I used to hear, and everybody my age was listening to rap and R&B and hip hop. But then eventually, like as I started to grow, I realized, man, all my peers, they only know rap, hip hop. They don't know anything about calypso and soca like me, who kind of, I didn't really pay much attention to it, but I had no choice. And so I developed that love silently inside for it. And I can remember many times going to like music festival, Thursday night, and being in the crowd and seeing what the performers on the stage do to the crowd, how the crowd behave, people jumping and waving and rolling on the ground. And I like, hey, that could be me someday, you know, like making the crowd move like that. And so I just got into it. It was actually like a challenge. One time my brother said, man, I bet you can't do this. So
really?
I said, well, we're going to see who can do it or whatever. So it was a bet between us. And then he came with the song. He came with the idea, the first song that we did, Walk It. And
I remember that one, iconic.
You can't forget that one.
We moved forward with it. It was, for me, it was, like I say, it was a bet. We didn't anticipate it would go to like 4 of these things, you know. But I'm doing it and I love it.
Wonderful.
I can't even believe that that was your first song, because everything about it just screamed professional.
Yeah, that was actually the first. If you actually hear the first version of that song, you wouldn't believe it, because it sounds nothing like the end product. But we tweaked it, we fixed it, and we found all the things that work, and we just pushed it.
Is that what you did with your song Bubble as well? What was that process like?
For me and the team, what we do from the moment we start penning a song, we start thinking performance for the finals.
So you think about the end result
yes,
first.
because that's very important. I mean, you could go a song about pushing back and girl this and girl that, but if you cannot go out there and sell it, perform it, and wow the crowd, then it wouldn't have much of an impact. So when we start writing, we start thinking, how can we present this on stage? How can we tell this story? Would it have a great impact, or would everybody just say, oh, okay, I don't see that, I don't hear that. So from the get-go, from the start, we start writing, we start thinking performance, and we start thinking finals. So, and then we just ride that wave at the end, basically. Yeah. And also one thing, we always make sure we keep the humor, the suspense, the comedy, the heightness, of course, in everything we do, from writing to finish.
Wonderful. And this song Bubble was actually quite genius.
Yeah.
Thinking about the present situation, bubble as in dancing. I thought it was very, very clever. And we actually have a clip of it. Do we have it ready? We actually do have a clip, or we're supposed to have a clip of that performance. So we'll actually take a look at it right now. Right. Do you like seeing yourself in videos? You don't have any choice.
There's no safe way to answer that, right?
We'll take a look right now.
But still you take the mass out of sugar, man. We had CPL in a bubble. We could get carnival in a bubble. When the tournament in a bubble. We could get carnival in a bubble. We had the tourists in a bubble. We could get carnival in a bubble. Black off the beach in a bubble. We could get carnival and watch the girl them. Watch the girl them. When we get him back on the road. When we get him back in the bed. When we go steal a wine again. Black out the beach in a bubble.
had a very impressive life. I mean, you wanted to dance.
Oh yeah.
Your feet were tapping.
Every time I hear soca music, I just feel different. It's not a choice really. You can't. How could you stand still when you hear soca or even just music?
I know the feeling.
And shake a leg.
You were sweating as well, so was the nerves coming back?
No, it's almost like seeing yourself on TVs. No matter how many times I see it, it's just like you're
speechless.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, that's really me, boy. Who'd that be? Sometimes I feel a little embarrassed, but I'm like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, we have no idea what you mean.
You should know.
I know how to wear. Every time I watch a pageant video, I'm like, who is that?
Yeah,
what is she doing? But again, you had a really impressive set. I mean, stage props, and I even remember Walk It, and even a lot of your other performances, you always have a really impressive stage set up, dancers, lights, confetti.
We always say, like, when it comes to the stage and presentation, we want to go big. There's no in between or just enough. It's like we want to hit it out of the park, basically, because presentation and performance is everything. And once you study the criteria and you understand what the judges are looking for, and even what the people in the crowd looking for, you have no choice but to come big. That's the winning equation, basically. Come big.
Go big or go home.
There's something that you said that I want to go back to a little bit, and it concerns the team. You mentioned the team, so tell us about your team.
Yeah, so Mr. Hype and everything you see on the stage is just not about me. I have some brothers. Fortunately, I'm blessed to have them on the team. One is in finance, so he manages all the finances of the team. And then the other is a musician. So I never really have to stray too far to find ideas, music, production, recording, any of those things. It's all in the family. And then I have some other brothers who assist with props, and I have a sister who assists with the stage. So we have my brother's girlfriend, she helps on the stage, she helps put ideas together. So it's one big family, one big team. We have some guys who, from day one, been on the stage with us. There's Davey. He was Scotty in this last performance.
Yes, mixing the punch with his hand.
It's okay to call Scotty there. And then we have Sassin. There's so many different persons on the team who share the same drive to succeed, to do well, to just go out and deliver the best. And we all come together all the time and just make it happen.
Well, I wish we had more time to talk, but if I want to see you, I know what to do, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the next competition to see what you do with it.
Yeah.
All right,
Definitely gonna come back.
We'll be back with more Good Morning SKN right after this. And if you want to see more of Mr. Hype, look for our intro tomorrow.
I going out tonight. I got a hot date. He older than me, but I don't care. I like what he telling me. He say I look sweet and ting. What? You want me go home with him? Nice. Boy, I wonder if I'm ready for this. I notice he ain't got a condom, but I gonna go ahead, see? He might think me ain't like him or trust him. Plus, this my first time. Nothing gonna happen to me. Lord, how could I let this happen? I ain't ready for no child. Who can support me and my child? My man gone jail and mommy and daddy said they ain't gonna help. I all on my own. How could I be so careless? I wish I could go back to that now. But my education on hold. How could I let this happen? Don't let this happen to you. Contact the Department of Gender Affairs to find out about confidential offices and personnel available to answer questions about your sexuality or pre- or postnatal concerns.
This message was brought to you by Project Viola through the Department of Gender Affairs with support from the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the Caribbean Development Bank.
Bless up. Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Yeah. I know we can make it. It's only just a phase. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gonna be safe. Everybody gonna be one safe. Kind, yeah. One people. We are roll up to roll up. Yeah. Cause no man's alone. Do what's right. Alright. Cause I love you. Brother, my sister. And we're in this together. My sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Hey, I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to roll up to roll out.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are any exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
Has anyone ever touched you here, here, or here? Well, these are actually bad touches, not good ones. And so, if anyone ever touches you in these areas or anywhere else that makes you uncomfortable, you must say no, then go and tell. Say it with me. Say no, then go and tell.
This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with Probation and Child Protection Services, the Ministry of Health, and the Pan American Health Organization.
各位朋友，大家好. Greetings, my lovely people. I'm Chantel, residing in Taiwan. 12 hours time difference. It's nighttime here, morning time in SK. I'm busy and on the go. However, I always manage to keep up to date with what's happening in SK. All thanks to Good Morning SKN. Good morning SKN. Ciao bango.
And we are back on Good Morning SKN, and we're going to talk about money. Financial management is not a common aptitude. With our society built on a culture of consumerism, we tend to spend money inconsistently. Guilty. However, many of us do not know how to budget our finances, and even when we try, it can be challenging to stick to it. So how does one set limits on our spending? What do you do when you're faced with unexpected expenses? Well, Quinn Martin is here with us to share exactly how we can develop realistic budgets and stick to them. Mr. Martin is an insurance advisor at Sagicure Life, Eastern Caribbean Inc. He is devoted to improving the lives of St. Kitts and Nevis citizens through the promotion of prudent investment and saving strategies. Mr. Martin has a comprehensive understanding of money management and the importance of saving and investing. So join us as we welcome him to Good Morning SKN. Good morning, Mr. Martin. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
Wonderful. I'm great. I think Jamie's great too. Jamie, you're great.
Well, we're talking about money, so how could I not be?
Here we go.
Wonderful. I mean, I don't think you could have been on at a better time. It's the new year, and we've been talking about new year, new me, and what are some of our goals for the new year. And I know lots of people have the goal of saving more money or budgeting better. So can you tell us, when you're considering making a budget or controlling your finances or not spending money frivolously, where do you begin? Because it just seems so overwhelming sometimes.
Yes, I think that the first place to begin is starting with what you want to accomplish. If you don't have a goal, then it's very hard to put things in place to remain consistent and to remain dedicated to accomplishing your goal. So the first thing is to start with having a goal. Once you establish your goal, then of course you have to analyze your income. Will your income allow you to accomplish this goal? And once you decipher that it can, then you get into the nitty-gritty, you get into the detailed aspect of the budget by planning out how much money needs to be allocated to what expense. And that will give you a realistic view of what you can accomplish, or if indeed you can accomplish that goal.
You make it sound simple.
I have to say, though, in listening to you, it is technical, it is simple, but to be honest, it actually sounds so boring that I can see why people fall into traps, because it's so much more exciting to walk into town to see something that I want and be like,
spend it
I have the money on me, I'm going to take
all.
that. So what do you think, apart from that, perhaps, would be the biggest reason people don't stick to their budgets, and also because of the not making the goals that you set before? Is there another reason that you find?
Well, yes, I think that budgeting is actually, or can be, difficult. And it becomes difficult when one does not want to embody the discipline or make the sacrifices necessary to conform to the budget. Yes, it's all well and good to write down the expenses. It's good to have an overview of what you want to accomplish. But unless you are willing to put the work in, to make sacrifices, to not spend impulsively, it would be very difficult to stick to the budget. And that is how most people give up, because they recognize that, hey, yes, I want to spend X amount, yes, I want to accomplish this. But as soon as a bump comes in the road that they did not foresee or that they did not plan for, then they give up. So it's all about, number one, sticking to your goal. It's all about having a plan and recognizing also that adjustments must be made along the way.
Wonderful. And I heard you mention discipline, and I think that's really, really important, because you could have a plan and it could be pretty, it could be great, but if you're going to go in town or you're going to go on Amazon and start swiping that card, you're going to end up in problems. So can you tell us a way of how one can track the money that they spend? I mean, do I need to have a pen and paper and write down every single dollar that I'm spending everywhere?
Well, that way of doing it might become a bit tedious, and then persons can lose the paper, and then they lose interest once they lose the paper. And we live in a technological age where we have apps, right? We have different systems in place that we can utilize to ensure that we stay on track and that we can see these budgetary changes in real time, right? These apps allow you to input data, and then you recognize that as you make one particular expense, then that amount is deducted from the overall budget. It gives you an opportunity to analyze the overall budget at the end of the month so that you can make the necessary changes in accordance with fulfilling your goal. So we need to get on with technology, not just writing it down on paper, which is important, but the app and the online means of tracking your finances gives you a greater chance of staying on point. So I would definitely advocate and encourage people to go the technological way.
Well, to your point, I would be very scared if I see the output of my app being that I spent 60% on entertainment. So I guess that's the advantage there.
Well, sometimes you need to see it to make the adjustment,
True.
Sometimes you think that you are on target, although you might have spent that money, but in seeing it in real time, it really allows you to make the necessary adjustment to stick to the goal.
Right. One question concerning that. We're talking about budgets, and it does seem very particular. I want to ask if there is wiggle room for expenses that might make us feel like we're not on a strict budget. Do you have any advice for that? Should we budget for those things?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we should all have what is called a contingency fund, right? There are things that might come up that are unforeseen, or even things that are foreseen, where you have an aspect of the budget for recreational spending, right? So all of those things come about as a result of having an initial plan, properly outlining the budget, which includes that contingency, which includes that expense for leisurely spending. And once that is properly laid out, then even if, let's say, you fall short or you go over in the budget, you can tap into these funds to get back on track.
Interesting. And you also mentioned a contingency plan, and I think that's something that we may have learned in a very hard way during the pandemic. I mean, I don't think we could have planned for it being 2 years, but I know that, having a plan set in place for something like this, well, not something like this, but a disaster or something unexpected is so important, because I know, sometimes a lot of people, ended up out of work for such a long time. And,
Correct.
Sometimes we just don't think that's going to happen. Like, we just think that we're going to be fine, we're going to be well, everything is going to be great, and money is going to be coming at the end of the month. So even if I don't have it for the end of this week, payday is coming, so I'll be fine. So
He's confessing.
Well, one of the things I want to touch on in regards to that, especially being an insurance advisor, is the fact that life insurance policies sometimes have what is called a cash value, a savings component built into the policy, and that component builds up funds as the policy progresses. So we found that even when the pandemic hit, persons who would have had life insurance policies with cash values were able to borrow from their policies and cash out from their policies to help to mitigate some of the hardships of COVID. So even in planning your financial future, recognize the fact that an insurance policy is also a good tool that you can utilize and that can safeguard you in the event of these unforeseen circumstances.
That's a really interesting tip. I didn't even know that.
Yes.
The 50-30-20 budget, what is it? Can it even work to help us budget better?
Well, I'm not too familiar with that. Maybe you can give me some insight. 50-30-20.
50-30-20, it's a ratio of spending. So it would be, to my mind, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, 50-30-20 means that you set aside 50%, I think, or you live on your 50% of savings. I'm being cued by my advisor in the studio. Thank you, financial advisor. So 50% is for savings and the 30% is for pardon? Needs, really. So you're saving 50% of your income. You have 30% of your needs. And 50% for your needs. There it is. We can see now. 20% for savings, 30% for your wants.
Yes.
Not doable.
I think anything is doable once you have a proper plan in place. And of course, once from the onset, you're able to analyze your income versus your expenditure. But I do believe that some of these templates sometimes have to be tailored specifically to your individual need. Not necessarily because someone says that you have to save 50% of your income, it means that you have to stick hard and fast to that, right? Because person's circumstances are different.
Yes.
I think the important thing to understand is, number one, your main expenses. Number two, your salary, and how is it that you can make the right adjustments in order to ensure that your expenses don't exceed your income. Once you're able to decipher that, then eventually you can make the proper adjustments in order to properly pay your bills as well as to save adequately. I think that should be the important step, as opposed to just sticking to a predefined rule.
Right.
50-30-20.
Hey, if it's possible, go right ahead. But each person has his or her individual circumstances, and the key is just to ensure that you're saving adequately and have that contingency fund that you can tap into in the event of emergencies, and a long-term as well as a short-term savings plan.
And you're an insurance agent, and you mentioned the importance. Well, you touched on it just a little bit, but can you expound on the importance of insurance? And again, I know a lot of us think we're young, we're well, everything is fine. Insurance is just taking my money. Can you explain to us the importance of insurance?
Only you think that.
No, lots of people think that way, I'm sure of it.
Well, having insurance is extremely important, and I would go beyond even just important and say it is necessary. And It should be the reverse. When you are young is the time when you actually should have an insurance policy, because when persons are young, they're generally in good health and you stand the best chance of being approved for your insurance policy. So you want to take advantage of that, and it would cost you less than when you are older, right? So insurance gives you an opportunity to do a multitude of things. You get the opportunity to create financial stability for yourself. You create financial stability for your loved ones. It gives you the cash value, depending on the policy that you invest in, that you can tap into in the future and safeguard yourself in times of emergency. And then health insurance also prevents you from having to dig into your own pocket in the event that you get seriously injured or need medical treatment. So these are resources.
And I know that could be very expensive.
Very, very expensive. And these are resources that people have to become accustomed to taking advantage of, because they were not always available to us. And we have to recognize now we have an opportunity to mitigate these expenses, save, and feel the peace of mind that we are protected and our loved ones are protected.
Yes, it's true. And I also know that there are certain things that need for you to have life insurance. Like if you're going to take a mortgage from the bank,
yes,
you do
student loan as well.
Yes.
Yes. So the earlier the better.
Yes, the earlier the better.
And the cheaper.
Yes.
Well, we want to thank you for stopping by the studio and talking with us all about financial budgetary health.
Yes.
And hopefully going forward in 2022, we will be more healthy financially.
Yes.
There's hope for all of us.
I do hope so. It was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
You are watching Good Morning SKN. We will be back with more in a moment. Stay tuned.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors, in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This is Good Morning SKN with Mimi and Jamie on Studio 327.
And we're back on Good Morning SKN. Wedding planning is quite a stressful experience, from designing the invitations, as I would not know, to choosing a venue, picking the dress, to planning a menu. The entire process is quite demanding, so I hear. Dreamy Weddings is a Caribbean destination wedding planning company. They currently operate in 13 Caribbean destinations and offer ideal venues to suit each couple's needs. They offer cruise and land-based weddings in St. Lucia, awesome, Antigua, Aruba, Anguilla, Barbados. We're going through the list here: Belize, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Jamaica, and St. Martin. Your CEO, lead planner, and master florist, Natalie John, was named A-List Wedding Planner in 2010 by Destination Wedding and Honeymoons magazine. Dreamy Weddings' team of capable planners will be with you from start to finish and can assist with your entire trip, from travel planning, hotels, and tours while on island. At Dreamy Weddings and Tours Incorporated, they add that personal touch to make you feel at home. You name it, and they will make your dreams a reality. So Natalie John is here with us today to share what it's like planning a wedding in the midst of COVID-19. Welcome, Natalie. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So good to be here.
Right, so we're talking wedding planning. Obviously, I think it's stressful enough, as I just read, but imagine having to plan a wedding.
She doesn't have to imagine. She does it.
She really doesn't have to imagine. You've done it. So has it been business unusual?
It has been business unusual because I would say we've never had a pandemic before. We've had 9/11, we've had the financial crisis, but nothing quite like this. And so it's been crazy. You have persons, you have to actually now be a therapist, because brides are like, I really want that date that has some significance, and now the country's about to shut down, so I have to change my date, and then you have to tell them it's okay. So it has been business, very unusual.
So was there a difference, and I assume there was, but was there a difference in the number of weddings pre-pandemic to now? I mean, I know that we're getting back to normal, but are the numbers coming back?
Yeah, the numbers are actually coming back, which is really, really good to see. So at least persons within the industry could realize that don't lose hope, because it is coming back. And we've had, so I would say, when the country first shut down, everything got canceled. So all the weddings on the book got canceled, erased. Some clients were good enough to say, okay, let's wait for a year. So we actually had some weddings in the end of 2020. So some destinations like Antigua and Barbados had opened up in St. Lucia. So we had some weddings there. And then 2021, towards the end of 2021, we started having a few more weddings, and we have bookings already for 2022 and 2023.
That's amazing.
And we got an inquiry for 2026.
Wow.
And that's good, because you'll be here doing that into 2026 and beyond.
Correct.
Longevity is what it's about, right?
Yes.
Right, so in terms of decor, I know absolutely nothing about weddings. I know absolutely nothing about decorating, as you might imagine. Is there such a thing as a most popular type of decor that your clientele requests for weddings, or is it just a range of things?
It's a range of things. I would say in the past it used to be a particular type, but with now social media, so many people have various preferences. So it's always great planning, because people come with different ideas, and so it gives you an opportunity. So for us, for our destination wedding clients, we have what's called a style guide. So we'll send that to you so you could complete, so that we get an idea as to who you are, and it asks a range of questions. Do you know anything about flowers? We give you like 3 diagrams and to try to say which one do you like. So it gets us a feel as to who you are, in terms of things like your music, your sense of style, your creativity. Everything we ask is very detailed, but at the end of it, we get to understand who Jamie is, who Mimi is.
Wonderful. And of course, you get to give them that personalized touch for their, special day.
Correct.
Sometimes the biggest days of their lives, is their wedding.
Yes.
And I know people always want it to be perfect, and I know that you're a perfectionist, so I know that they don't have to worry. You mentioned a little bit earlier about wedding trends. How do you keep up with trends? And again, social media, so everything changes so quickly. How do you keep up?
Correct. So research is key. Attending conferences is key. Being part of international organizations is key. So for example, in December, I attended a wedding conference. It's a luxury wedding conference called Engage. And just the attendance fee is $4,500 US.
Excuse me, pardon?
Now that you attended. Business is good.
But these are just some of the things that you have to do if you want to remain relevant, if you want to be up to date. You're right. You say, $4,500. Not everybody can afford $4,500, but it comes to the other part of business. When you price, you're not just pricing for now. You're pricing to ensure that you remain relevant, that you could take a trip, not just buy the products you need, but to educate yourself as well. So.
Yes, as an entrepreneur, training is very, very pricey, but important.
Correct, very.
Right, we'll be back to talk with Natalie John more in a moment. Stay tuned to Good Morning SKN. More right after this.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
No cash, no card, no problem. Dad, embrace the freedom.
So you mentioned something about a lump.
Babe, I just felt something on the left side of your breast. Tell me if you feel it.
Do you do your self-breast examinations monthly?
No, I don't.
Well, women are supposed to examine their breasts once monthly. Let me show you how. When at home, you can check while standing in the shower or while lying down. Simply place a pillow under your right shoulder and your right arm behind your head. Using your left hand, move the pads of your fingers around your right breast, gently covering the entire breast area and armpit. Use light, medium, and firm pressure. Squeeze the nipple and check for discharge and lumps. I did find a lump in the upper left breast. I am not sure what this means. Therefore, I need to refer you to the DMO or you can see your private physician. The doctor is going to examine you and recommend an ultrasound or a mammogram. Listen, not every lump is cancer. 80 to 85% of the time, the lumps found are benign. That means they are non-cancerous. Lumps in the female breast or armpit can be non-cancerous tissue growth or fluid buildup, or a number of things that can present themselves at various times. But sometimes it's a sign of cancer. That is why I am referring you to see the doctor.
Okay, nurse. Thanks for your help.
You see that new boy that just joined the school last week? He brought me a chocolate this morning because I showed him the way home from school yesterday. You like him? No, he's just my friend. Plus he is my neighbor. He asked me if we can walk home together for lunch tomorrow, and I told him yes.
I don't like these big boys. They tend to like to touch girls without your consent.
What do you mean by consent?
It's when one person agrees to give permission to another person to do something.
He is cute though. Guys, you won't believe what happened the other day with the new boy from school.
What happened?
The other day, while walking home with the new guy, he followed me into my house. I thought it was okay because he seemed friendly and respectful. So I turned on the TV and offered him a soda. We sat in the chair together. Then he leaned over and kissed me. I was so shocked I sat up straight and asked him why he did that. He said he thought I liked him. I told him not in that way. What? Girl, you should have never allowed him inside your parents' home.
My parents will be very angry if they meet any boys in our home plus kissing me.
Guys, we don't need to be burdened down with teen pregnancy and relationship problems at this time. Boys need to understand that girls are not sex objects.
Remember, you have the right to consent to every activity being performed, from holding hands to anything more, and to change your mind at any time. If your partner does not respect your wishes, this also is a form of abuse. If you, your friend or family member is being abused, you can contact one of the numbers listed below for help. Department of Gender Affairs 662-5492, Special Victims Unit 662-7077, Counseling Unit 465-5000. This message was brought to you by the Department of Gender Affairs in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
Good morning, this is Carol from Lux Carnival, and I listen to Good Morning SKN.
All right, so you are watching Good Morning SKN, and as you can see, in keeping with the destination weddings, we have greenery.
Well, we are here with Natalie John, the CEO of Dreamy Wedding Decor, and we just spoke about destination weddings, and now Natalie is going to teach us some of her tricks. Well, Jamie is going. What did you tell us the name of this was?
It's called a balloon topiary.
A balloon topiary. Yes.
So it's an easy, very simple decor. If you're having a party for your wedding, you could have those in any height at all. But the topiary is really 12 balloons, and they're normally the same size. So I've blown them up already for you, but there's something called a balloon sizer that you could either do it automatic or you actually push it into the sizer so that all your balloons are the same size.
Okay.
Right?
So it is because I'm just imagining how do you blow up all the balloons at the same size.
And so the topiary is 12. So I'm going to teach you today how do you make your topiary. And I don't like balloons because I don't like them to pop, but I work well with them. So you actually go, hold a balloon, and then you keep the center. So come on, take it, cross, right? Then take another, cross. Then take another.
Jamie, you're doing okay?
Come on, Jamie, just one cross, and that's good. But keep your center, make sure you have your center. Okay? Cross.
Novice here. We'll try not to get it to pop. It's a lot of fun though.
I don't like to make it pop. It's rubbery. Remember, it's like elastic, right? So you're already starting to see the shape of the flower as it comes in. So let's go. So you have 2, 4, 6, 8. Come on, Jamie.
It's not looking good for me. Confidence. Here we go.
I'm giving you moral support, Jamie. You can do it.
Wow.
Done. And so at every point, you see a flower. So remember, a flower is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have your middle. Any point you turn, you see your flower. Come on, Jamie. Okay.
I'm going to put while I'm ahead, right?
He's almost there. He's almost there.
I'll be putting while I'm behind.
Just easy, yeah.
Got it.
And if Jamie could do it, you could do it too, right?
You are so right.
So just remember, your topiary to just make sure that it looks uniform. All your balloons are normally same size, and then the bigger taller the topiary stand, then the bigger you blow your balloons. Wow! Yeah. Voila!
You did it.
We did it. High five.
Wonderful. So do you use lots of these? I mean, when you do your destination weddings, do you also do parties as well?
I do parties as well. I do decor on a whole. So for weddings, so if I'm doing a wedding and somebody says, okay, I want something different. I love balloons because balloons are indeed coming back. They came back like 2 years ago with weddings. So I would do topiary stands for entrances, or I do like organic balloon arch, just lots of balloons. And for the organic arches, you don't necessarily need to size them because that's why they're organic. They're different shapes and so yeah.
I appreciate this demonstration so much.
You can take that home. Feel proud of it.
No. This is gonna start somebody's maybe your wedding. Right. So.
And I also brought flowers to show you that weddings are also part of flowers, and we also do flowers as well locally. Different colors, and just to show you how they blend in as well.
I really love when you do those flower arches. Those are very impressive. Even seeing you like transport them to the site and set them up, I'm always really impressed by that. So you said that you do weddings across the Caribbean. How do you manage that? You're like one person. How does that work?
Great team. Knock on wood. Great team. Doing it for 23 years this year, and great team. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's our tagline as well at Dreamy. So you have good staff, you have good vendors in all the destinations as well, and so that's how it actually works. Really.
I want to ask you, what's the craziest wedding you've ever seen? Because you said, it's pretty much custom. So what's the craziest?
Okay, so it was in Antigua, right? And it was a groomzilla. And
a groomzilla.
Yes.
That's unusual.
A groomzilla. And we had to actually go and measure the tide when it comes in, right? How far from the shoreline the actual waves come in onto the sand. Because he wanted to place the chairs 6 feet before where the waves actually come in. We thought it was really? Yeah. So literally we had to go to the beach, take the measurements, and on the day when we set up, it was a beautiful wedding though, but on the day when we were setting up, because we normally set up beforehand before the couple comes in, he literally came
to measure,
to make sure that what he had asked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I know what I want if I ever get married, and I know who I will choose. Thank you, Natalie, for stopping by today and making me a balloon expert as I get the All right, we'll be back with more Good Morning SKN in a moment. Thank you.
It was certainly a pleasure. Thank you.
So, nurse, what now?
Let me explain. I'm going to put your feet in these 2 meter stands called stirrups. Your legs will be open, then I will insert my fingers into your vagina and make a check. After that, I'll insert this. When that is inside of you and open up, I can see your cervix better. Then I will use these other devices to help me remove the cells from your cervix and check for the cancer and the HPV. Just relax. It will be over very soon.
Nurse, that wasn't so bad. I thought it would have been very painful.
I am glad your first experience was a good one.
So, when will I get the results?
The results usually return in 3 weeks. You have to come back here to the health center and I will explain. If there's anything abnormal, I will make a referral to your gynecologist.
Okay. Can I get the HPV vaccine my daughter got?
No, I'm sorry, you cannot. The World Health Organization and Pan American Health Organization did a lot of research and found out after persons are sexually active, the vaccine does not work as well.
So what's the best way to prevent me from dying from this HPV?
Just what you did this morning. Early and yearly screening for the HPV virus and checking for changes in the cervix with the Pap test.
How do they know they're not sick?
I know, it's really sad. In 2014, 1 in 4 women in St. Kitts and Nevis were tested positive for one high-risk type of HPV. And in the last 10 years, the number of women with cervical cancer has increased.
See what I mean? But it's good that you could get the pap test, the HPV vaccine, and the breast checks all at the same time.
Yes, share what you've learned with your family and friends. We in the Ministry of Health are encouraging women to come and have these tests done every year because cervical cancer can be effectively treated if detected and diagnosed early. So let's both do our part. It's time to end cervical cancer.
When growing your savings, where you save matters more than you think. Dare to compare and see for yourself why you should start saving and investing at First Federal Credit Union. You don't have to settle for cents. Let your money make sense. Reap a higher return by stashing your cash in a high-yield savings account or term deposit and earn up to 4% interest on your money. At First Federal, we say yes.
No cash, no card, no problem. Jad, embrace the freedom.
You are watching Good Morning SKN, and Mimi is holding her balloon bouquet. I guess you are appreciative of what I said. It's going to go to your wedding. We don't know what's going on. All right, so let's move on with the show.
In the spirit of the new year and developing new habits, to close our Good Morning SKN show today, we're going to share with you guys some motivational quotes and briefly discuss them. So here are 3 motivational quotes to keep you inspired. And the first one?
All right. Don't wait until you reach your goal to be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself every step you take. This one by Karen Salmonson.
Number 2, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And this is from Winston at Churchill.
And I get the third one. So this is, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has a genius, magic, and power in it. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. This quote is attributable to him.
All right. So those are the 3 quotes. And the first one, I mean, that one speaks to me because, you know, journeys are sometimes very, very, very long. And I know sometimes we're always waiting, okay, until we reach this goal, I'm going to enjoy life. I'm not going to enjoy until I reach here. But then you realize all of your life and all of this time has passed and you was not enjoying the journey at all. You were just waiting for this destination. So I think it's always so important to enjoy every step of the way and to try to learn as much as you can and inhale the experience. Be present with all your experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same. You have to enjoy where you are in order to get to where you're going, and there's no such thing as a finish line. Continuous growth, right?
Right.
All right, so success is not final. Here we go. It's not
Same
a finish
thing,
line. Success
right.
is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And what I take away from this quote by Winston Churchill is something that a friend of mine is really good at inspiring me to do. Just take one step at a time. And don't ever think that you are at the pinnacle of your success so that you can't go any higher.
Correct.
There's always more to learn. There's always, you know, a humility in that, knowing that maybe you have 100 steps to go, but you can only make one today. Make it anyway.
Right.
Be bold about it.
Right. And our last quote, if I could get to see it, whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness has genius and power in it. And of course, as we said, as we know, life can be challenging, it can be difficult, but just having that courage to take, as you said, the first step and put one foot in front of the other and take the other step, you know, it takes boldness, and that in and of itself is amazing and magical, and just keep going.
So that brings us to the end of the show. We want to thank all of you so much. We know we have some diehard supporters out there, so we want to thank you especially for joining us every day that you do for Good Morning SKN. We also want to invite you to join us tomorrow and every other weekday morning, coming to you live at Studio 327 on, get this, and share it with your friends, to your family members, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. But we're everywhere, right? We're Twitter, we're everywhere. Snapchat. So the handle is at Studio 327 Inc. And we're going to be here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. And make sure that you are here with us.
Starting your morning with us. Thanks for watching.
All right, bye-bye.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, SKN.